love the Rams, -2 Thursday night in Seattle. We're going to the jungle for the Bengals, getting 3.5. The Chiefs, -3 against the Bills. Dallas, -7 against the Giants. The Chargers, -1 against the Browns.
We were sizzling last week, 4-1 against the spread, now 7-1 ATS for the season, including 3-0 with our big dogs, 2-0 with our best bet of the week, and this week we got Matt Cassel joining us right here on Take the Points presented by Betfred. Let's jump into it and run the table for week 5. No doubt about it, Big D is back. Dak Prescott continues his assault on the record books, making an MVP push. Zeke Elliott, 6 touchdowns in his last 4. Trayvon Diggs, 6 picks in 5 games. And the Dallas Cowboys, a legitimate Super Bowl contender. Then we look at the Chargers. Justin Herbert, he is the MVP favorite right now in my mind. Chargers are 4-1. They just scored 47 points against a very game Browns defense. And Justin Herbert is first in the league in third down EPA. That's a stat to remember moving forward. With the seasons they've had so far, Dak Prescott and Justin Herbert have officially cracked my top 5 quarterback rankings. In no particular order, those two, Josh Allen, Mahomes, and Kyler Murray. Apologies to 2 of the greatest ever, and Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. And I'd be remiss if I didn't show love to the 5-0 Arizona Cardinals, the league's lone undefeated team. They win 17-10 against the Niners. They're 3 out of 10 on third down. Kyler Murray admitted he didn't play his best game, but this is the type of performance we need to see from Arizona. You're not going to have your A game every week. How does the defense respond? How does the team respond? I love what I saw from the Cards. If you follow me on social, you know I've got a lot to say, so don't at me. Here's what I'm thinking this week. The Bills are the beast of the AFC. Going on the road in a primetime game and winning at Arrowhead and dispatching a Patrick Mahomes multiple picks, that's impressive. Josh Allen continues to be one of the premier third down quarterbacks in the league, both with his arm and with his legs. There's trouble brewing in Seattle. Not necessarily with the personnel, but more specifically with Russell Wilson missing at least a month, maybe more, and then also Ken Norton, the defensive coordinator. Why is Jamal Adams, the league's highest paid safety, playing in coverage when we all know he's an elite blitzer who should be at the line of scrimmage causing havoc in the backfield? And finally, NFL refs are beginning to ruin our game. I spent more time with Carl Sheffer Sunday night than I cared to. And going into Sunday Night Football, the Bills and Chiefs were 2 of the league's least penalized teams. If there's a call in doubt, don't throw the flag. Let the game play out and we'll live with the consequences. I don't get it, I don't like it, and I want to see something different.
Let's take a look at the early Week 6 lines we love with my man Kenny Bets Big. Kenny, what's the first game that really stands out to you?
Yeah, first we're going to look at the Detroit Lions. This line opened up at +3.5. Sharps didn't take long to jump on that. The line has since shifted down to Detroit +3. I know the Lions are 0-5, but they've been competitive in every game. If you're someone that wants to back the Lions this week, I would jump on that line ASAP before it shifts down below the key number of 3.
Okay, so Thursday night, there's a play you like. Now, this is Tampa versus Philly. Both teams coming off big wins.
Yeah, and this is going to sound crazy, but I love the under here. Now, I know TB12 just hung 5 touchdowns on this solid Miami Dolphins defense, but don't get caught being prisoner of the moment here. The total is way too high, and Sharps think so too. This line opened up at 53.5. They jumped on that. It's now sitting at 51.5. If you're watching thinking, why in the hell would Sharps jump on that under? Well, Thursday night football games, when the total opens up at 53 or higher, the under has hit 13 out of 17 times.
Wow. Okay, so I'm learning something here. Now, you like the NFC North. Go.
Right now, there's about roughly 75% of the tickets and about 65% of the handle on the Packers to cover the 4.5. So if you think you're going to be someone that's going to add to those numbers, I would do it sooner rather than later. Some sports books have this line, the -4.5 line, juiced up to 115, -120. Usually indicates that a line movement is coming.
Okay, final game that you like, or at least early line that you're looking at.
Yeah, we're going to look at the Panthers here. The look-ahead line was Panthers -3 before their epic collapse to the Philadelphia Eagles. Now it's been jumping around from -1 to -1.5. Christian McCaffrey is expected to be announced to play later this week. I would jump on that Panthers line because once he's announced he's going to play, it's definitely going to shoot up.
Love it, Kenny. Stick around for our best bets of the week where you and me will go head to head. We'll see you in a minute. With decades of experience, Betfred Sports brings you one of the best sports betting experiences in Colorado, Iowa, and Pennsylvania with a variety of betting options, including in-game wagering, teasers, tons of prop bets, and more. Welcome in former NFL quarterback Matt Cassel, who's going to drop in and talk some football. Matt, monster Sunday night game, Bills-Chiefs. Statement win for the Bills. First thoughts, what do you got?
Well, I think this was a revenge game if you think about it, right? Last year, the Chiefs had their way with the Bills twice and knocked them out of the playoffs as well. So this team was fired up to come here and prove for that they're AFC. They want to be at the top of the AFC. And so the Chiefs, you know, they've been struggling all season. The turnover bug has continued to plague them. The Buffalo Bills took advantage, and they just absolutely wiped the floor with the Kansas City Chiefs 38-20. And the fact of the matter is, the Buffalo Bills are rolling right now. Josh Allen, he's been absolutely incredible. What he does, not just with his arm, but his legs, the weapons that he has surrounding him. Stephon Diggs had a big play. Dawson Knox on the play down the sideline for a 57-yard touchdown. I mean, so they've got all the components, and they're playing great in all three phases as well. So this Sean McDermott team is going to be somebody that everybody is noticing down the stretch.
Is it more about than that game Buffalo, or are you more worried about Kansas City? In other words, what's the bigger story? Bills continuing to roll, winning at Arrowhead, or the Chiefs struggling?
I think it's a little bit of both, but I'd say the Chiefs struggling right now. The way that their defense has not been able to get off the field, I mean, they're in historic lows right now in terms of pass defense as well, in which this defense has always kind of had that bend but don't break mentality. However, they're giving up so many different points throughout the course of this season, and they're at the bottom of the league in almost every major statistical category that they have no room for error, and that puts a lot of stress on that offense to continue to go out, perform one possession after the other and keep pace. And that's why you start to see some of these turnovers that Patrick Mahomes has had, because he's trying to force the ball downfield because he knows that if they don't score, they're not going to be able to stay in the game.
So the league is flush with a ton of young quarterbacks. Herbert, Allen, Murray, Burrow. You and I have talked about them at length. What do you, I guess, out of all four of those guys, can you kind of break down the ceilings for them? Especially Herbert, because I know you love him, and he was almost slept on in that draft, went way behind Tua. Start with him, with Herbert. What do you think he could become in theory?
I mean, he's already in such a small period of time become a superstar in our league. You look at him, and he's one of those guys that is like, he identifies as that pure pocket passer, right? He's big. He can see over the line. He can make any throw that you want. He continues to get better. And like I said, he is a guy that is an absolute stud, and I love watching him.
Yeah. I remember talking to some of the Oregon guys coming out of the draft when he was about to be picked. And then also now talking to some of the Chargers, especially Austin Eckler. There was this whole mentality, Matt, with Herbert that, you know, he wasn't a leader. Wasn't loud enough. And all those guys said, no, he's a gamer. He might not be the loudest guy, but everyone really believes in him. How much nonsense was that when people were like, Justin Herbert, you know, he's not a leader because he's not loud?
Right. I mean, it's so funny to me because everybody leads differently, right? And you have to understand it's the approach of the player and what he's comfortable with. There's guys that are very vocal and like to scream and yell and be heard. He does it through his performance, through his accountability.
Matt, you know we like to talk gambling right here on the game day. I'm just curious for you, how much of that was discussed when you were playing, and now with every single game sportsbook ad, it seems like, what's your take on sports betting?
You know, it's funny because as a player, right, there's a stigma that was always attached to betting. Like, you know, you can't bet on this sport, you can't bet on that. You have to, like, kind of guard yourself against particular sporting events. But there was always that internal betting going on with the players, with the college and everything like that. You know, are you going to give me points or are you not? So it was always fun. Because, again, in the competitive culture that we live in that locker room, sports betting is always another way to be competitive, right? Especially amongst your teammates with your alma mater at stake. And so I cleaned up house for quite a while there with USC. But then, went down.
Matt, you started over 80 games in your career. You were with the Pats, backing up Tom from 05 to 08. Very distinguished to have that. I mean, let's not forget, you won 11 games that year, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, we won 11 games, but I only get credit for 10, even though Brady went down in the first quarter, and we had 0 points on the board, and we went out and we ended up winning the game. I was like, how do I not get the win?
You should have had
but
the
nonetheless, yes. Yeah, we were 11-5 that year. Okay,
so you're on a distinguished list of backups that Tom had. It's Brian Hoyer, it's Jacoby Brissett, it's you. How do you rank the top 5 Tom Brady backups. And it doesn't necessarily have to be performance. It can be, being Tom's friend for all I care.
Oh, man. Well, let's see. Hoyer's been a good soldier now. He's had a few different stints there. He likes to come back. He was always the guy that was with Brady. And one thing that you know about Brady is we do this annual trip to Kentucky Derby usually almost every year. Now it's kind of get cut when it gets both, but that's fine. So, nonetheless, Hoyer's usually invited. 50% was invited. People were often invited, including myself. I'd have to put myself up there on close to high.
Oh, yeah.
Man. It's one of those situations. Spent some time to work out together. Still have a good relationship. And we had a lot of fun and a lot of laughs.
Well, Mr. Cassel, you are never expendable right here on Take the Points. Appreciate you tuning in. And guys, that was Matt Cassel right here on The Drop It. Time now for my big dog of the week. We're 3-0 so far in this category, so make sure you write this down. I got the Tennessee Titans getting 5.5 at home Monday night against the Buffalo Bills, who come off that monster win in Arrowhead. And really my main reason why, Derrick Henry, most rushing yards ever through a 40-game stretch in NFL history, comes off another 3-touchdown game. He's been outstanding, and I really think Tennessee's going to run the ball at a high level against the Bills, and I think they actually might win this game, but grab those 5.5 Monday night. All right, now we bring back Kenny Bets Big for his best bets. Kenny, just so you know, I was 4-1 against the spread last week. You got your work cut out for you. What do you like?
No pressure, right? Thursday night football means teams have a very quick turnaround, short week to prepare. So personally, I'm not a fan of laying the big number Bucks -7, but we can still make some money on this game. What I'm going to do is do a 7.2 team teaser. So we're going to get the Bucks on the money line, and we're going to tease that under that I spoke about earlier, all the way up to 58.5, and lock that in.
Kenny, moving on to the AFC West crucial matchup, Raiders playing at Mile High against the Broncos.
Yeah, now I know there's total chaos out in Vegas with their head coach John Gruden stepping down this week, but that doesn't change the fact that the Raiders just honestly have more talent on their roster than the Broncos do. As much as I love Teddy Covers, Derek Carr is ultimately a better NFL quarterback than Teddy Bridgewater. Plus, it's actually pretty surprising, but teams historically, once they fire their coach mid-season, they actually do very well against the spread the following game. Our most recent example would be last year. The Falcons fired Dan Quinn after an 0-5 start. They go on the next week to beat the Vikings 40-23. Last year, Bill O'Brien fired after an 0-4 start. The Texans go on in week 5 to beat the Jaguars outright as well.
Okay, Bet the Farm, which is your best bet of the week. You're going to the college game Saturday.
Yeah, we're going to head to Fayetteville. We got Auburn Tigers taking on the Arkansas Razorbacks. I see a ton of value in backing the Tigers here as short road dogs. The Razorbacks' strength is in their running game, and we already saw what happened 2 weeks ago when they played an SEC team that's great at stopping the run. They got smoked by Georgia. Auburn's defense is ranked 26th in the country, giving up only 19.2 points per game, and they're ranked 22nd in the country in stopping the run. On the other side of the ball, Arkansas and their 97th ranked rush defense are going to have their hands full stopping the two-headed monster in Jarquez Hunter and Tank Bigsby, locking Auburn plus 3.5.
Trusting Bo Nix in Fayetteville. Okay, I don't know about that, but I'm going to live with you. Kenny, thanks for the best bets, and we'll see you soon. And now for my best bets of the week. We're 7-1 so far through 2 weeks. Let's start with Dallas heading to Foxborough, laying 4. It's a big number on the road, I get that. But you're talking about a New England team that just gave up 312 yards and 3 touchdowns to Davis Mills and the lowly Texans. What do you think Dak's going to do? Monster game for Prescott and Zeke. I think Dallas rolls in Foxborough. Then, I like the Ravens laying 3 against the visiting Chargers. Both these teams coming off big wins. Both teams 4-1. Both teams great quarterbacks, but I think Lamar continues to roll at home in another big game, and the Chargers, don't forget, have struggled against the pass and the run in terms of mobile quarterbacks. Moving on to the Meadowlands, sorry Big Blue, I'm laying the lumber 10.5, the Rams. Matthew Stafford's going to feast on a Giants defense that has been decimated by injury, and also don't forget the Giants offense. Sterling Shepard, Galladay, Saquon, Daniel Jones, all injury concerns. I think Sean McVay and the Rams are going to lay 40 on the Giants. In my Bet the Farm game of the week, we're going to the dog pound. The Cleveland Browns -2.5 against the Arizona Cardinals. the league's lone undefeated team. This is not a knock on them or Kyler for that matter. It's really about Baker, who I think just played the best game of his career against the Chargers, a good defense, and I think a Browns defense as well that is going to respond in a big way. Look for Myles Garrett to get after Kyler. Look for the Browns to big time bounce back in a Bet the Farm game of the week, -2.5 against the Arizona Cardinals. That's it for today. More winning picks headed your way. Another winning week right here on Take the Points, presented by Betfred Sports. Sign up now and never miss a bet with BetfredSports.com, proud partner of the Denver Broncos and Colorado Rockies. And don't forget to subscribe and follow me on social at Jordan Schultz on Instagram and the Game Day on all social. We'll see you next Tuesday in Week 7.